There's a church in Virginia, Mount Carmel Baptist Church, and if you lived in this area of Virginia, you'd probably be tempted to go to that church. Let me tell you why. Because that church has a habit one Sunday a month of picking one family in that church, bringing them to the front of the church, and then they collect an offering, and that offering is to pay the debt of that family. That got some of your attention, didn't it? If we did that next Sunday, this place would be packed. I guarantee you it would. What they've done over the last 14 months, they have collected $340,000 in those offerings and rescued 59 of the church's families from debt. That is something that gets our attention because, in America today, if we are a typical American, we've got some debt issues that are probably happening in our life. And we would be so appreciative if somebody came along and removed that debt off of us with the freeing impact that it would have on our lives. But that's just of this world. That's just in a temporal measure of things. But what God did was he took the whole debt of eternal sin off of us, sending his son to do that for us, and released us from the penalty, from the payment that we could never pay. Beyond any ability we even had to even begin to pay, God took that debt of sin off of us and placed it up on his son. And Jesus Christ paid that for us. In Luke's account of the resurrection and the crucifixion event itself, there is one phrase that is used, and the Greek rendering of that phrase indicates that it was used repeatedly. It wasn't just a one-time thing that Jesus said, but it was, the language behind it says that it was something that was repeated a lot. And it was this: Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Here is Jesus sharing this in all of his holiness, all of his divinity, having lived 33 years up to this point without sin in his own life, having spent the last 3 years ministering to people, showing them love, healing them, and doing all these different things so that he could reveal to them the true nature of God. Man's response was to treat him in the way they treated him with regard to the crucifixion and his death. And all along the way, while he was beaten with whips, Father, forgive them. They know not what they're doing. When they would take a crown of thorns and dig it into his head, his brow, Father, forgive them. Whenever they would take a purple robe and throw it across his beaten back and they would mock worship at him, Father, forgive them. They don't understand what they're doing. Whenever they put the heavy cross and made him carry it, whenever they laid him on the cross and they nailed into his flesh, whenever they put him up to be seen and angry faces cursed him, Father, forgive them. They know not what they're doing. At what point in all of that scheme of things did they deserve God's response of grace? And if we were honest, we'd have to admit that there is nothing in our life that we have done that same response, Father, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing, that we ever deserved what he did for us. It never got on the radar screen. It never happened, and yet he responded in the way that he did.